Hi, I'm Clay Carlino, and this repair is not as straightforward as I thought it was going to be. The doors on this truck had some rust bubbling up underneath the paint, right about here and here. And you can already see that I've sanded it down and hit it with some rust reformer to protect it, and then I'm going to put some factory match paint and spray it, and good as new. I thought that's the same problem that was happening on the back door. This is a much worse problem. It's rusted all the way through. Look at that. I can stick my finger in here. Look, I can put my whole hand in here. So that's going to be a lot more than just sanding and painting. I'm going to have to put in some new metal. The problem, of course, is that this has a very distinctive shape. It's curved down here, and then the flange sticks up here so that the window strip can attach on top. That's going to be hard to duplicate, especially without a brake or any other metalworking tools. The piece I'm working with is 16 gauge steel. That's pretty heavy for the panels on a truck, but at least it won't rust away. It also makes it a little bit hard to bend just by hand. I got the first bend, which wasn't too difficult, by clamping the piece into a vise and then using wooden blocks to tap down the ends and just constantly shifting it through the vise. Not trying to make the entire bend at one time, but working my way back and forth until I had that straight bend. The curve, however, is another story. I've got the lip of the metal that I created on the vise underneath this 2x3. And then I've been using pipes like this one and now a pipe like this one to support under the piece so that I can try and replicate that curve. Hearing protection. It's a good idea. And then I just put all my weight on this board, go like this. Some of this process is a little more art than science, and the amount of science involved is highly dubious. I used my cutoff wheel to notch out the metal so that it'll fit into the window frame. All right, let's see how we did. Look at that. Okay, admittedly, it's not gonna look awesome, but it's gonna look decent, and it's gonna hold up for a long time. Now I just need to cut away the bad metal here so that I have room for the new piece. I've got cardboard in place to protect my window. Before I attach this piece, I'm going to protect it from rust. So my piece is painted, my holes are drilled. I'm going to go ahead and pop in a couple rivets. Now that that's sort of held in place, I can go around and drill a lot more holes for a lot more rivets. I've got my patch riveted in, and I feel really good about this. This is nice and solid. Now, obviously, if I were going for a cosmetic patch and I wanted this to look factory original, this is not the way to do it. I mean, really, what I should consider doing is just replacing the door. I can paint it to match the surrounding color, and that'll help it blend in a little bit. Before I paint anything, I want to use some wax and grease remover and just wipe everything down, make sure that the paint sticks and doesn't bubble up at all. when you're painting a door panel or a patch or something like that, the best way to do it is to paint the entire panel. You know, go from one seam all the way to another and mask off everything else so that you get a nice consistent finish. But I'm not doing that. And I'm telling you that I'm not doing that so that you don't look at what I do and then when you try to do it my way, it doesn't come out so good and you say, hey, Clay, why'd you tell me to do it that way? That sucks. That's the wrong way to do it. I know it's the wrong way to do it and I'm doing it anyway. I am going to do some wet sanding with 1200 grit sandpaper, and that should help give this a little bit more of the shine that you look for in a vehicle paint job. These little circles, not using a lot of pressure, letting the sandpaper do the work, not my hand. Now if I really wanted to get a nice finish on here, then I would put more layers of paint and I would start with a rougher grit and just keep incrementally going down in grits of sandpaper as I sand, repaint, sand again, all the way down to 1600 or even 2000 grit sandpaper to get that really nice glass-like finish. Okay, now I just put the strip back on, just like that. That is not half bad. So that's it. This patch job was a lot more than I was planning on getting into when I sanded away that little rust spot. But that's sort of how it always goes. When you sand away a place where it's rusting underneath the paint, it's always worse than it looks on the surface. So, you know, you just have to kind of be ready for that, and sometimes you have to do a little bit of reconstruction. But there you have it, seeing that you do not have to be afraid if you see that what you thought was a little bit of rust turns out to be a lot of rust. This is Clay Carlino telling you to be brave. Oh yeah, I guess I have to do that next too.